Sometimes the biggest secrets are hidden in plain sight. Today, we're cracking open a puzzle that connects two of the most incredible and incredibly different stories in the Bible, the tales of Esther and Job.
So, here's the mystery we're diving into. In some versions of the Bible, the story of Esther's amazing triumph is put right next to the story of Job's absolute tragedy. I mean, think about it. One is a tale of skyrocketing success. The other is about devastating loss. So why on earth would you stick them together? Was that just random?
Well, it turns out it's probably not an accident at all. According to a brand new paper from scholar Annette Hjort Knudsen, this placement is what she calls an editorial invitation. It's like the ancient editors left us a clue, a kind of puzzle, inviting us to read these two stories together to unlock a much deeper meaning.
Okay, so to really get what she's saying, we first need to appreciate just how totally opposite these two journeys are. This is the paradox at the heart of the whole thing, and it's what makes it so fascinating.
And the contrast is, well, it's about as stark as it gets. Esther's story is a zero-to-hero kind of tale. She goes from being a powerless orphan to literally the most powerful woman in the kingdom. And Job? He starts at the very top, the wealthiest man in the East, and ends up with absolutely nothing.
So let's just quickly walk through Esther's journey, right? She starts with nothing. She's an orphan, part of a community that's pretty vulnerable. But then, through a wild series of events, she gets into the king's court, she becomes queen, and in the end, she uses that power to save her entire people from being wiped out. It's all about her gaining control, gaining agency.
And then there's Job. His story is, well, it's the exact reverse. He's at the absolute peak, the wealthiest guy around. And then, bam, tragedy just hits him out of nowhere. He loses his money, his kids, his health, everything. He is left totally helpless. His story is all about a complete and utter loss of control.
Okay, so this brings us right back to that central puzzle. How can both of these people be held up as good examples? Their stories seem to send completely contradictory messages. One says, hey, be smart, take action, and you can save the day. The other one says, nope, sorry, what you do doesn't matter at all in the grand scheme of things. So, what gives?
The first big clue, the key that starts to unlock this whole thing, is realizing that both stories are actually fighting the same enemy. And that enemy? It's the problem of power itself.
Now, this is really important. The way these stories see power isn't as something that's automatically good or bad. Think of it more like a force of nature, like a hurricane or a flood. It's just there. It's a dangerous, raw part of life that you have to figure out how to navigate.
Take a look at King Ahasuerus in the book of Esther. This guy has all the power in the world, right? But he's totally wishy-washy. He only ever does what other people tell him to do. As one scholar, David Firth, points out, his power is just this raw, untapped energy, and whoever is whispering in his ear gets to decide how it's used.
Okay, now check this out. In Job's story, you get the same idea of chaotic, raw power. But it's not a person. It's shown as these huge, untamable monsters, Behemoth and Leviathan. These are forces of nature that humans have zero control over. So get this. The clueless king in one story and the terrifying monsters in the other. They're symbols for the exact same thing.
All right, so if this untamed power is the big problem, then what's the solution? This is where we find the secret weapon that links both tales. It's a really particular kind of wisdom.
And this is key. We're not talking about book smarts or, memorizing a bunch of rules. The paper calls it practical sagacity. Think of it like street smarts. It's the ability to look at your actual situation right here, right now, and figure out the right, truthful way to act.
You can see this so clearly in Esther's story. Her wisdom really shines when you compare it to the foolishness of the other characters. You've got Haman, who's so arrogant and full of himself that it leads to his own downfall. You even have the good guy, Mordecai, whose first reaction is so rigid and by the book that it almost makes things worse. But Esther? Her wisdom is different. It's courageous, it's humble, it's thoughtful, it's practical.
Okay, let's pull all this together. We've got two opposite stories, a common enemy, power, and a secret weapon, practical wisdom. So now, let's see how putting these pieces together reveals this incredible, unified message.
So like we said, the stories are basically mirror images of each other.
Esther is all about human action. Job is all about divine action. In Esther, God is hidden behind the scenes. In Job, God speaks right out loud. And these differences, they're actually the whole point.
Because here's the big reveal. They don't contradict each other. They complete each other. It's like this. Esther shows us that smart, courageous human action is absolutely necessary. You have to act wisely. But right after you read that, Job's story comes along and says, hold on. Remember that your actions have limits. You're not ultimately in control. So one story shows the offensive power of wisdom, how to go out and make a change. The other shows its defensive power, how to survive when you can't change a thing.
And this is why this is so brilliant. If you only read one of them, you get a lopsided view of the world. You might become an activist who thinks you can fix everything, or you might become a fatalist who thinks you can't do anything. But when you read them together, as a pair, you get this beautiful, balanced message about how to live a wise life in a world that, let's be honest, we never fully control.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? What's the solution to this ancient puzzle? It's really about rethinking what wisdom even means. I love how the scholar Crystal Meyer puts it. She says, true wisdom isn't some rigid, timeless system of rules. Instead, it's pragmatic. It's pragmatic knowledge for a variety of different situations, all the different things life can throw at you, whether you're on your way up, like Esther, or you're losing it all, like Job.
And that leaves us with this one final question to think about. What if the whole point, what if the deepest wisdom of all, isn't about finding one single perfect answer for how to live? What if instead it's about learning to see the harmony, the necessary balance, between all of life's crazy opposing forces?